Hi, I want to share some thoughts on the idea of living water. So, in John chapter 4, Jesus makes the analogy with the woman at the well that there is a difference between the water that she's pulling up from the well and the water that he can give her. And that difference is that the water from the well will eventually go dry, and the water that Jesus gives will not. So there's a couple of things about the symbolism of water. It basically provides two things for us in life. One is it provides life, so we have to drink it in order for our blood to be replenished and our bodies to work. And the second is it cleanses. So we need it in order to cleanse not only our body but just anything. So water is the primary cleansing agent. There's two types of water. So dead water or living water, and in the sense of just classic water, not even getting into analogies, dead water is essentially still. Anything that's still for a very long time is essentially dead. And moving water is effectively living. And there's this great quote that I love by Joseph Smith where he says, "I'm like a rough stone rolling." And in a sense, he's making the point, if you're rolling, if you're constantly moving, you're going to get better. You're going to be purified. You're going to improve. And that's a lot how water works. Water flows and it makes itself, as long as it's moving, it's going to have a lot of purifying and smoothing effects on the things around it. And water obviously comes from above, so the clouds. Well, there's the whole water cycle, which essentially means it's back and forth, right? So there's water that is on the ground, and then it gets evaporated, and then once it's congealed into cloud, it will come back down and rain. And eventually, though, this fresh water can seep through several layers of the topsoil and clay and eventually become an aquifer underground. And I think there's an interesting analogy to be made here to what Jesus was talking about. So I'm going to use this as an example. And the idea is, if you can think about rain as like the revelation that we get from above, and the well water as studying the word that has been given to us from a long time ago. In other words, that water's been down there a while and it's been filtered. It's been essentially concentrated in a way in the process of going through the various layers of earth, and it's also clean. So you can think of that as kind of the words of the prophets or the scriptures. And this forms a cycle, though, because we can use the well water for those times when we're feeling like we're not getting as much guidance from above, and also we can rely on the guidance from above. And at times it's going to rain very heavily revelation on us. And there's this great video that uh, Elder Uchtdorf talked about the showers from heaven and how blessings are all around us, and life is full of these incredible things that if only we take a moment to accept them and allow them fully into our life, it can really improve the way we feel about ourselves and also the outcomes we attain. The other thing is, this is a video that Elder Bednar talked about, how revelation isn't something that we should always just kind of hope that we get in this big magic moment. That can happen for sure, but he makes the point that for the most part, it happens all the time, and we're basically immersed in it. And I think that that's a powerful point, because a lot of the ways in which I've learned and grown and tried to make decisions have just been by talking to other people and getting a sense, reading books, understanding what others have gone through related to this, to whatever it is. And then throughout that point, I feel like that's God guiding me in a sense to understand what the pathway forward is. It's not always just kind of I'm going to pray and then I'm going to get an answer and then I'm going to do that. I think that's actually kind of rare. And rather than that, God actually inspires us and those around us to help each other. One thing I shared with my seminary students is this idea that, this journey of discipleship essentially goes from a self-centered life to a Christ-centered life. And the covenant path that leads us on that journey, or that consists of that journey, is one of just constantly reiterating our commitment to being like Jesus, trying to submit to those above us, Heavenly Father specifically, but also everyone who's above us in a sense. If somebody else is superior in our job, or maybe they're our manager, or if somebody else is more capable than us and we're trying to learn from them, we need to submit to their guidance. And at the same time, we are also always superior to somebody else, and we're always richer than somebody else in some way. And so we need to make sacrifices for them. And this is an incredibly powerful pattern because it allows for society to truly flourish. Whereas the opposite is just a fully self-centered approach, which in self-centered life, we rebel against those who are above us because what do they know? Because we're smarter than them, obviously. And we oppress those who are below us because we would view them as completely there to serve our interests. And so I had mentioned to the kids in seminary that there's a lot of decisions that are coming their way in terms of school and what they're going to decide to do with their life. And that's a messy path. It just is for everybody. It's not like the covenant path. Covenant path is really straight and narrow, and that's been always the promise that it's easy. Actually, it's easy in a sense of knowing what it is and how to go about doing it. It's not easy in keeping the covenants, obviously, but it's easy to understand how to do it and what we're supposed to do. Whereas in life, it's very difficult to sometimes understand what we're supposed to do and what our journey is going to look like. And often it's just on reflection that we find why we did certain things. And I'll just end with this. So I think it's most important that we're taking action in life. I've constantly become convinced that luck tends to follow those that are pushing forward and stubbing their feet, breaking their nose, moving. But as long as they're moving, and as long as we have faith that if we move, we can achieve the outcome or goal we're looking for, then it tends to either happen or help us see a clear stepping stone in order for something even better to happen. So I'll just end with this quote: "How can rolling waters remain impure? What power shall stay the heavens? As well might man stretch forth his puny arm to stop the Missouri River in its decreed course, or turn it upstream as to hinder the Almighty from pouring down knowledge from heaven upon the heads of the Latter-day Saints." It's all around us. It's always raining knowledge and inspiration. We just have to be there and willing to accept it. Thanks.